Hello, welcome back to another episode of Awaken Your Imagination. Tom from Florida back with you to share some actual techniques and ways that you can sharpen your imagination. And so some of this is what I was inspired when I first listened to Neville, and I kind of developed my own way that I do it, if you will. And I want to share it with you because hopefully it'll help. I also have a very special guest we're going to have on today's video. She is waiting in the wings patiently, but my daughter Kylie, who I talk about in episode number 1, whose appendix auto-amputated itself, who was my inspiration for this whole thing, is now hopefully going to inspire lots of you out there. But she's been patiently waiting to be in a video. I've been hesitant to do it, quite honestly, because I'm not trying to exploit her or the story or any of this stuff, but I really do want to encourage. I want to encourage your faith and know that anything is possible with them that believe. So I have little Kylie sitting patiently right here, and we're going to have her on at the end. So I'm excited about that. But I want to get some little techniques. I want to, listen, this is fun, this kind of stuff, okay? It is very real work and discipline, but it is life-giving when you tap into the fountainhead of all of creation itself, your own wonderful imagination. So this is one of the things I first heard Neville say that I kind of started taking my own spin on. And he said in one of his lectures, he said, imagine right now that you're holding a baseball. And I want you to go ahead and do it with me for a moment. Get in a place where you can just relax for a moment and just be undistracted and begin to harness that imagination of yours. Can you imagine holding a baseball right now? Now let's practice using all 5 of your senses. Can you feel the seams along the baseball, how they protrude up slightly? Can you feel the smoothness of the leather? How about can you see the red seam and see the off-whitish color of the leather? How about if you give it some more detail and can you see the scuffs in it? Right. Can you smell leather? I don't particularly have a keen sense of smell, but some of you might have that proclivity. Can you smell leather? I don't know how much you want to taste it, but can you taste maybe having a beer or a hot dog at the ballpark while you're watching a game of baseball? So these are practical little things you can do to begin to sharpen your imagination. And these are things that you can do all throughout your day. Here's a great one. Here's something people ask a lot. Am I doing it right? Am I imagining vividly enough? Am I giving it enough tones of reality, as Neville says? Here's what it should, quote unquote, look like or feel like to you. Take something very familiar to you, like a room in your own house. Like I'm sitting outside right now, but I can imagine without even looking at it or taking much effort what my kitchen looks like, or my bedroom, or my living room. Can you go to another room in your house right now? Let's just go to your kitchen and walk in and just notice the cabinets and the tile or the floor and the refrigerator and how it feels when you open it. And take a look around inside. See, these are the things you can practically do. Kylie, who I'm going to have on, we have these great talks at night and these wonderful times of imagining. And I really call it, it's a prayer technique. It's a very wonderful prayer technique. So don't discount the power of that. And we have our time before bed. And she asked me one night, she says, Dad, how does God be aware of all of us? And Neville, of course, teaches that the Lord, hear, O Israel, the Lord our God, the Lord is one. Well, that second Lord is the Lord, the compound unity of God. So God, who is all and in all, He's fragmented Himself into billions of pieces in us, only to be gathered up again in the one glorious body, but all of us individualized in our own unique, wonderful expression. And so I can grasp that concept, but I have no idea how God, the Father, our dimensionally larger self, is aware of all of the billions of units at one time. Like my brain, my finite brain can't process the infinite, But then just as quickly as we were sitting there and I said, I don't know, but the thought kind of just emerged and I said, but how about this right now? Do you know exactly where Mommy is and what she's doing? And we both did. Yes, she was sitting in the other room, reading in the sitting room. I said, how about Noah, her older brother? My oldest son is 11, my only son. And she said, yeah, he's in the other room playing video games. Well, how about Sadie, her younger sister? And so slowly but surely we got to recognize what each one was doing and exactly where they were. And I said, how about, can you see all of them now at the same time and know what they're doing? And she's like, yeah. You can almost kind of at the same time piece all of those concepts and ideas together and images together. So that was a little bit of an answer to the question of how does all of this work? And at the end of the day, we're left with a lot of questions that nobody knows. You know, if anybody claims that they have the answer, they don't know. But that's a good imaginal exercise. Visit another room in your own home. Visit other people in your own home. Wish them well, see them better. This is where we're actually going with these guys. So we go from these exercises to manifesting your dreams and your desires, to realizing that this can be used for anyone and anything, only use it lovingly, right? For the benefit of others. And so what if we started now thinking this way when I go to the grocery store and here comes a disabled vet in his wheelchair? Can I imagine him better? Can I imagine him walking free of pain in a state of bliss and delight and comfort as he deserves to be, as he ought to be? Can you begin to reconcile the whole vast world to yourself rather than just let my imagination be vain and empty and run idle based on whatever, you know, I'm scrolling through on my social media, whatever lyrics I'm listening to in my music or whatever that is. I'm actually just more aware of the divine that's in others. I'm saluting the divine in all people, if you will. And when you begin to look for that, guess what? You're going to begin to see it and experience in reality exactly that. You can be in line at the grocery store. The checkout lady is fumbling around changing the receipt because it ran out of paper. And there's somebody mumbling and complaining loudly about it, just enough for the lady to hear it and feel really bad about it. And I could be in a different reality, recognizing myself in her and realizing, yep, thank God that this lady is good at what she does. She's doing this thing efficiently. You know, she's pleasant while she does it. And I'm having a complete different reality because I'm reconciling the world to myself. And I'm just remaining patient in my state of peace and life-givingness and love that I'm in. And somebody in the exact same condition standing in line behind me is having a totally different reality. So the point is, this crosses over into a very real world application, if you will. And that's kind of where I'm personally going as I've been taking the last 6 months to process what does this mean with my daughter having these incredible things and my own body being healed and money, you know, just all kinds of stuff keeps happening. And I know that it's not to get more stuff, although that's important, I need to live, but it's to somehow reconcile the world to myself as it ought to be and inspire others to hopefully do the same, have a better reality. And we do it by imagining better. So these are all little exercises I want to give you today. They're kind of fun. And I'm going to try to keep these videos a little bit shorter, by the way. I know that some of them have been going long. So without further ado, I'm going to introduce my very special guest, the apple of my eye. Come on over here, hon. She's patiently waiting. She's been asking to be in a video. She's an aspiring YouTuber, unlike myself. I'm kind of the reluctant YouTuber, but she really wants to be. So say hi to everybody, honey.
Hi.
Yeah. Kylie is the one with a very powerful imagination. Man, oh man, she is an artist. This kid does incredible art and just loves to do crafts. And if you haven't seen her story, I'm not going to retell the whole thing. Just go watch episode 1 entitled Healing Manifestations with Evidence or something like that. I actually put the surgery photos from Kylie's surgery where her appendix auto-amputated itself. This one was so excited to see it. I thought she'd be squeamish or grossed out about it, but you thought that was kind of interesting, didn't you? You like that kind of stuff? Aren't you glad we're not in the hospital anymore?
Yes.
Feels good. Listen, part of the suffering in this stuff is like gouges out your heart, leaves these indelible scars. But you know what I found out? It's like the woodworker carving out the inside of a cup or a vessel just so that it can handle the capacity of the new wine that gets poured in it. You know what I mean? The enjoyment and the fulfillment of life and the capacity to enjoy life, I think, in a more profound way and in an enriched way. Isn't that right? Aren't you thankful for just a body that feels great?
Yeah.
And you can sleep in a bed not hooked up to wires and all kinds of stuff. I mean, having gone through that makes us appreciate just regular life, right? But it's not regular. It's like amazing. Life is amazing. It's all what you make it. So anyway, that's a beautiful thing. This is really what it's about, guys, is the next generation. What if we trained up a generation of kids to have a well-disciplined, tamed imagination, to tame and cultivate that garden of their mind? Because I'm telling you right now, where is a kid in reality if he's physically in a classroom, physically in his body, but imaginally he's out there somewhere plotting destruction or harm for others or for himself? What is the reality that really matters? I'm telling you right now, this is the reason for the rash of suicides and mass acts of violence and all this stuff. At Kylie's school, I might have told you this story, so forgive me if I did. At Kylie's school, just a few blocks away here, there was a 6th grader who brought a kill list to school. Did they talk about this in school with you when you were there?
The principal came in and talked
Okay,
about
I thought
it.
so.
Yes.
This kid brings a list to school of kids in the school that he intended on shooting because he felt he was being bullied, and those kids say that no, he was the one bullying them. And there was a packed house over at the school with school board members overflowing, everybody clamoring for a solution. What are we angry? I'm talking angry, unruly mob. You talk about an undisciplined imagination. And the only solution they came up with was build a bigger wall. They put a big security fence around the whole school, which, I mean, they have to do now because in Florida we have open schools where you can walk right up to the classroom, from the outside. But I'm telling you, the only answer is to begin to understand, number one, the power of imagination. Who else is teaching this stuff, right? Other than Neville. And so we need voices for our generation. And I feel like maybe that's what I'm coming into. That's part of my call, as I've been grappling with this since this happened to her back in December, January. Her appendectomy was in February, and these heavy things are happening to me. I'm like, what is this about? So I've really taken time to process it, and I think it's this. I think I can help be a voice in the world for the very real solutions of all the mental health crises we're facing and all kinds of stuff. Honestly, guys, a lot of this comes from pure ignorance. We just don't understand that imagining, when persisted in with feeling, creates reality. It absolutely does. Everything from the latest in the quantum realm of physics teaches us about this quantum field of infinite probabilities and possibilities, all the way back to the ancient texts of scripture that I personally love. I've studied it just like Neville has. I didn't take Neville for hearsay. I sought this stuff out for myself. I've researched what the ancient Hebrew mind understood about God and this kind of theology and these kind of radical things. So anyway, my point is, we have a very real answer we can bring the world. I'm hoping that's kind of the direction I'm going here. That's a little bit of the vision I have. I actually want to build out a studio. As you can see, I'm just shooting different places around my house, which is still under construction. We're still remodeling this thing, aren't we? But my God, we love it here. We're so happy to be here. I really want to convert my garage into a studio. I'm a musician. I can see myself even doing some live stream stuff, maybe late at night when I'm creative, and show you how I actually go into the quiet, if you will. It's powerful, wonderful stuff, and it will be a blessing to you. So I'm believing for the means to do it. I don't have the means to do it financially, so I'm thinking, I'm in faith for the vision and the things that I see. Look at this girl raising her hand to talk to her dad. What a good girl. Yes, honey.
I thought we were going to turn our garage into like a lounge house or something.
A lounge house?
Yeah.
Well, yeah, it's a studio space. We can come in and relax, listen to music.
Yeah.
Yeah, stuff like that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I can teach people. Maybe have a better space. We can do live streams or have just a legit setup to help teach people the stuff. I like it. Mm-hmm. So this is me creating my reality with my family, with what I love to do. I feel like I'm just finding myself. I heard that still small voice 1 year ago, and it said, "You're coming into your promised land when you're 40." And the number 40 had a significance to me. Neville teaches on the symbolic meaning of numbers. Off the top of my head, I couldn't tell you what 40 is in the Hebrew. I would have to look it up. But if you know your scripture, 40 is mentioned a lot. Most famously when Moses goes to deliver the Israelites from Egypt and they wander through the wilderness for 40 years, after which they enter into their promised land led by Joshua, whose Joshua is the same name as Jesus. Jesus is the anglicized form of the Hebrew Joshua. That's what Jesus is, which means Jehovah saves. Jesus Christ is Jehovah, and He is in you. He doesn't exist outside of you. He is in you, and you are the individualized, unique expression of Him. And so it's important that you be free in being yourself and finding yourself. So that's what I feel like I finally am. As I said, I've been processing all this stuff with my family and things have been happening to me. So I'm excited to bring it to you. I hope some of these little imaginal tools help you. I'm going to leave you with one last one. So we talk about taking familiar objects just in your mind. Listen, if you're sitting in a traffic jam, do your baseball technique exercise. Switch it then to a tennis ball. See what a tennis ball feels like. Switch it to a golf ball. Practice what a golf ball feels like. Oh, now you got a green light. Now you can go. Start harnessing the power of your mind all day. See people around you in traffic different. Now here's the last one I'm going to leave you with. At night, when you're at bed at night, and Neville gives this technique. He says, roll back through your mind everything you did in the day, starting with the last thing you did before you lay down, all the way back through the first thing you did at the beginning of the day. And at first, it is a bit of a challenge, right? You might only get so far and you get sleepy or weary. So listen, this is a very real as I said, exercise like you're working a muscle just like you would physically. I think that's what I'm going to get into is like some mental fitness stuff, just like, the beach body crazes and stuff for all the physical body stuff. That's well and good. Take care of your garment of flesh, right? Your meat suit. But I'm talking about that part of you that is your essential vital part, that vitality of life, that spark of life within you, your own imagination. What if we develop some program and ways to help train people in that, had fun doing it, right? Look at this. Aspiring YouTuber, next generation right here. So my point is, start practicing this stuff. I know it's hard at first, but go back in your mind from the last thing you did. So before I lay down in bed, I brushed my teeth. Well, before that, I went to the bathroom. Before that, I had a snack. Before that, I watched some TV. Before that, I read some Neville. Before that, right? So go back through your whole day and see if you can land at the very beginning from where you started from. This is all sharpening your imagination. And now begin to make the bridge into the real world as you go out in traffic, into the highways and the byways, and certainly for yourself, for the dreams and the desires that you have, the desires you have for others. Guys, go for it. This stuff is real. You have nothing to lose by testing it, but you got to go all in. James says, don't let a double-minded man think he'll receive anything from the Lord or from the law or from imagination. You must be single-minded in your focus. Look at this face. You kidding me? When I thought I was losing this face, I could not consent to the idea that medicine wasn't working, nothing was helping. I did not allow it into my thinking. You must discipline this quality of mind called hearing. That's the disciple Peter in the New Testament. His name translated as hearing. He's the first disciple to be called and the one who has the revelation that the Christ is I am. And I don't have time to teach that all right now. I'm going to teach you more of Scripture. I want you to rekindle a love for Scripture. Please don't be put off by it because of people that have been a terrible example that believe in it. I get that too. I've been one myself, and I'm sure you have as well. So forget that, but my goodness, don't throw the baby out with the bathwater. The Bible is single-handedly the most powerful manual on manifesting that we know, that we have in existence. It's wonderful, and Neville will say the same. So my point is, where was I going with that? You have to discipline this quality of mind called Peter. And so you can't consent. When the doctors were telling me that antibiotics weren't working, her white blood cell count's not coming down, I could not consent to the notion of where they were going with that. I had to remain faithful to that which I had seen in imagination. That was my little girl coming back as though from the dead and dancing again and beaming again with her beautiful Kylie self, who she is. So listen, you have to be single-minded in your intent. Shut the door to your physical senses and absolutely live and think and feel from the end. That is the promise of the thing that you've seen imaginally, and persist in the assumption that it's true. Okay, I hope that helps you today. Stay tuned. I'm working on putting some actual courses together that I can teach this stuff. I'm going to put it out there somewhere. I always want to, listen, just so you know, I want to always give my stuff away for free, the things that I teach, because Neville gives it away for free. It's free online. And the gospel doesn't cost you a nickel, as Neville says. So I never want to pass a plate or anything like that. But at the same time, I can't get back to life as normal. I can't. So I imagine my business. I told you about my invention that went viral, got me on Good Morning America, won me 50 grand on a TV show. I actually envision if I'm supposed to go down this path of teaching and maybe speaking, or I don't even know what I'm getting into, guys. I'm literally going with the flow as we go. But I thought as a sign, maybe as a fleece, if you will, if you know that story in the Bible, putting a fleece out, then, let me find a way to do a deal for my business. And I kid you not, in a week's time, I was on the phone on a conference call with a company who wants to license my product. They'll take over the whole thing. They'll pay me a royalty on future sales, and it'll free up my time to give myself to what I love to do, which is teach people, to teach. Listen, I love you guys the way I love this one. This is a one love that we have, right? Bob Marley's been singing about it. Bono's been singing about it. Don't worry about if you love everything else those kinds of people do or love everything else I do. Listen, just pull the gems out of people's lives, all the beautiful things that they have to share. Guys, this is one love that we have. This is an infinite brotherhood of love that we are in. And this is wonderful that we can teach. I want to give my life to it, is I guess what I'm saying. And I'm trying to figure out how to do it. So stay tuned as I process it and I try to do it in the right way. Anyway, I'm excited where we're going. I'm excited for you if you're here and you found this. My goodness, buckle up and get ready. It's going to be a wild ride. It might be a bumpy ride, but it's going to be the most exhilarating adventure you've ever been on in your life. So get going. You've got nothing to lose. Start imagining today. We'll have a parting thought from Kylie here, I guess. What's this, hon? Yes.
Since God created us all, are we all brothers and sisters?
Yes. In case you didn't hear her, she said, if God created us all, are we all brothers and sisters? That's exactly right. I see him in you. The same one who's in me is in you. And so I see him in you, right? And me. So you see him.
Everybody else.
And everybody else. So we see him in all of us. We can salute the divine in all people. Doesn't that make life so incredibly interesting? As you're looking for that, you're looking for that little piece of beauty in them, that image of God in them, that I can learn something where I can see God like, wow, I've never seen God like that before, because I'm seeing him in you and seeing him in others when they're expressing him just by being themselves. Isn't that awesome?
Yeah.
That's pretty awesome. All right, guys, listen, we love you. Hang in there. If you have questions, I'm going to do my best to jump in on the comments. I'm trying to sort this stuff out. I have some travel over the summer I'm doing, but I do. I love you guys. I feel like I'm doing the right thing, so I'm going to keep going with it. Anyway, talk to you again soon, okay? Bye-bye now.